Okay, okay. Okay, I'll leave in 2 minutes. This guy's hounding me. Like, okay, sweetheart. Okay, I'll get up. I
What's
gotta
that
go.
about? They don't want you to sit there?
Yeah, I don't. Let me go down here. He's annoyed by my existence.
Tell him he's
Um,
tell him he's getting free promotion to fix iPhones. What's his problem?
you know he's not gonna. The poor thing's not gonna have one customer today.
The sign's right there. He's getting free exposure. He should be out here waving and saying, "Hi, come to my shop."
The city of New York, Boricua from the Bronx.
I'm actually
All right.
wearing a shirt.
Wow, I see. I'm glad you decided to wear a shirt today.
You know,
Appreciate
you
it.
know,
Guess
you
what?
know.
I have a shirt on too. I apologize. I don't have internet at my apartment, so I'm by Whole Foods. They're Wi-Fi. They're Wi-Fi.
It gives it a little oomph, a little oomph. You know.
Yeah. A big part of what I do is just keeping it real. It is what it is.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm the same way. Welcome, and yeah, thank you for coming on. Just before you came on, we were talking about dogs and how my dog runs this neighborhood. You got a dog?
I do. I have a 5-pound toy Maltese. Her name is
Okay.
Sophie, and she is the best. She's 11, and every part of taking care of her, I love, even when it's annoying. Like, I'm like, oh my God, please stop, but don't ever stop bothering me. Because what kind of dog do you have?
Pomeranian. Four.
Mm,
She's 4 pounds,
four
and
pound. You have is that a tea? Is that considered a teacup or a toy?
I think there's a different name for Poms. I don't recall the name. It's something I can't recall the fancy name for toy Poms, but
Oh.
whatever those are, that's what she is because she is
Oh,
tiny.
she's a teeny weeny baby.
I was
I
telling
love
Josephine,
that.
I bring her out, and you could have the coolest dog. It doesn't matter because she's so small. Just
Yeah, she
that,
steals the show.
that's it. It's a wrap. And I was like, I should not get another dog because it will be unfair to the other dog. Just having to stand
Yeah,
next to this, like,
yeah. My dog, I don't know if she has me as long as she's my shadow everywhere I go.
uh,
If I'm walking around the house, she's by my feet. She's just so much fun. She was my mother's dog. My mom passed away 4 years ago and
oh,
wanted me
I'm
to take
sorry.
care of her and have her. It's okay, thank you. And it's just been so much fun having her and taking care of her. Like even when I travel, not so much because of COVID now, but like I just got back into town and I have to travel with her, and I'm like have bags and then I have her and then it's but I'm like don't ever stop. Like I'll get frustrated, but then I'll be like, but don't ever stop, girl.
You
Because
bring
I'll
her with you when you travel?
I take her everywhere with me usually. Yeah,
How how
everywhere.
how does that work out logistically? By the way, my name is Angel Rodriguez. This is NYCTalking.com, and this is Seville Michelle. We just jumped into it. We
Yeah,
just,
we just jumping into
you
it.
know, we just
Slow.
went we just went with it. So, how does that work out logistically? Like,
I just make it happen. It might be a nightmare, but
when you say
I don't
travel, you
mind
mean like on planes and stuff, or you just
it.
driving at like?
Everywhere, driving, planes, buses, trains. Like I take her everywhere. She's so small that I could put her in my bag, and I've even in the past taken her to restaurants and she's so quiet and people don't even know because she
Just
doesn't say anything. She knows that she has to be quiet. Like, I'll tell her you can't bark here because you're not allowed to be here because you don't have thumbs. And she listens. She doesn't say anything. Like she'll just get in the bag and be quiet, and then I'll put some
no one will
like
know.
little chicken in the
It's
bag.
our
Like
secret.
I'll put chicken in the napkin, and when we leave, I'll give her. I won't feed her in the restaurant because I don't want to push it and be disrespectful like that. So I'll feed her like on the go. Like when we leave, then I'll give her like a little piece of pollo or whatever.
She doesn't cry like, "Mommy, I
No,
smell that burger."
she knows that it's not the time. She knows like she has to like. She's from Brooklyn, so
Just chill, lay in the cut.
she was born in Brooklyn. So yeah.
Speaking of Brooklyn, are you still based in Queens? I saw that.
So I have my apartment that I was basically born and raised in Queens, but I live also in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I was just at my place that I was raised in 2 days ago. So I keep that spot there.
Good. Yeah, Queens. I live in Queens as well.
Where?
Kew Gardens.
Oh, okay. I'm from Astoria.
Cool. I say I'm from the Bronx. I live in Queens, but I'm from the Bronx.
Were you
can't.
born and raised in the Bronx?
I was born in Puerto Rico and came to New York when I was 5, and I've been pretty much Bronx until like I moved out on my own. You
Yeah.
know, and then went to Brooklyn for a bit, then Queens.
I've been to Paris more times than I've been to the Bronx.
That's every New Yorker. God.
It's true. It's true. True.
That's funny. So tell the listeners a bit about what you do. And so the email, and the first thing I thought of when I saw an email about earrings was, let me see if I can remember this. I need a girl with extensions in her hair, bamboo earrings, at least 2 pair.
Yeah. So yes, that's LL Cool J's famous.
That's the era I'm from. So
Yeah,
as soon as
yeah,
I saw
yeah.
those, I was like, what? Oh, snap.
Yeah. So I grew up in Queens, and I grew up wearing door knockers and bamboos and gold chains. And as I got older, I wanted to revisit or reimagine the jewelry of my youth. And so I sought to reinterpret them and just redefine them. And I was able to do that. I always say when I first came up with the concept of wrapping the door knocker earring in leather, it was like adding diamonds to a Casio. And I think that it took on the popularity that it did because people related to it on an emotional level, and it reminded them when they were single, when they didn't have kids, when they didn't have to worry about being on unemployment for whatever, or of just
It reminded them of
time.
when they had a bad attitude and at least 2 pairs.
And when everybody was like all the fly dudes were jocking them, and now maybe they have a panza and struggling to get to the market, and it's different. It's different now. So I get DMs like that. I get like emails like, your earrings remind me of when I was young. And there was a girl, she sent me a DM and she was like, just seeing your page just brought me back and made me so happy. And I'm just, she's like, when I get my money together, the first thing I'm going to get are your earrings. And I actually just sent her a pair because I was like, girl, you don't have to wait until you got money. I got you. So I sent her a
That's
pair.
nice. Yeah, that's very nice.
Just because, what is it? Like, I hand make each pair. So it's not like
I was going to ask you that. Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
I hand make each order I hand make. It's not like it's not a great effort for me to do that because it actually is. And it does cost me money, but relatively speaking, like, what does it really cost me to enhance someone's day or write a quick note about how dope their email made me feel too? You know what I'm saying? Because it's an exchange of energy too, you know,
For
how we
sure.
communicate. And I've been so blessed, like, in terms of just doing everything on my own. Like I always say, like, I do all my own stunts. Now I have Priscilla and Josephine, but I didn't ever have people that helped me with anything. So I've always just done everything by myself, literally. And so it's nice to get the recognition of your contributions in terms of the things you do that people don't see. I feel are the most important gestures that you can make in the world. Those are the most critical, because when, you know, you're just doing things to look out for people and like you're doing that in the shadows, you got to be what's right with the world. So that's really what it's about. That's really what this whole thing's about. It's just enhancing life for myself, but then also for other people.
So speaking of that, on that thread, you started doing this as a form of therapy. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I needed to heal from extreme trauma, and I read this book called The Knitting Circle, and it said to use your hands and make stuff. And I was like, I'm definitely not going to knit, because it was a book about knitting. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. But I've always been really nifty, like with making stuff. Like I got it from my mom. And I was just like, I'm going to make, clothing was like, that was not going to happen because just the production and the size SKUs and like all of that and the amount of money that you would need to actually do that. I didn't think it was a realistic idea. But I was like, I do have critical eye. I know that. Was always like, I could put together an outfit with nothing. And so I had that ability. So I just started making stuff. And as soon as I did, it was like incredible. It was like off the chain, like within like very soon, I don't know, a month, like it was on some of the biggest names in music. So it was like crazy. I was like, all right, let me just keep doing this.
I can
Because
rock with
before
this.
that, I didn't have identity, self-identity. Like before that, I didn't have my own identity. I was like with somebody and I was just with him and that was my identity. So yeah. So that's it.
Certainly, yeah, it's a therapy. Helps.
Yeah.
So how does it end up on a J-Lo, a Lizzo, or Alicia? How do they end up? How does it happen where that connection happens? There's a lot. There's people out there creating stuff, but they don't get it to these individuals. Like, how did that come about?
I think it's a bit of magic, honestly. And I think that it has a lot to do with the law of attraction, honestly, because like I've always designed with the around the way fly girl in mind. Like my first muses were the girls that I grew up with in Queens. They didn't date in Queens. We didn't have, everybody dated criminals, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the
Same
girls
in the
I grew up
Bronx.
with. Yeah, like it wasn't like we looked up to girls that were like musicians. We looked up to the girl down the block that was like came out looking like a Dominican cake. Her hair was so curled, like she looked like a cake walking down the street. Like you're like, how did she get her hair like that? And then you found out it took her 4 hours to curl her hair like that. And she spent 4 hours and then spending all her extra money on dry cleaning so she looked crispy. So those were my original fly girls, like my original girls that I looked up to that. So I think it's just that it's like symbiotic in that fly girls just be with other fly girls. That's it. I mean, really, I think that
J-Lo was a fly girl, right? You remember Living
literally,
Color?
no,
Yeah.
literally. But yeah, I think it's just also contacting the right people, having a good product. A well-written email will take you around the world without ever having to leave Queens. Having good design is the single most important thing. But then a well-written email is the second most important thing. Your website's super important. Those basic like 101s, if you could do that, then your hat trick can last forever.
And you're ahead of the game. That presentation matters, right?
Yeah, you got to spend 4 hours on your hair if you're going to hit the street and want to be, you know what I'm saying? If you want people to stare at you, you're going to have to spend hours on your presentation.
Whatever your craft is, right? Whatever that craft is, be it the gym, it doesn't come easy.
Yeah.
Nothing comes easy. If it did, then we'd all have it.
Yeah,
and then it wouldn't be worth much. We would take it for granted like everything else in life.
Exactly.
I saw some video of you working with children as well, doing like candy earrings and stuff. How does that come about? Is also therapy for the kids to
yeah.
tell us.
So I know the valuable mechanism of being creative firsthand and like how it can heal you. So I wanted to share that knowledge and I wanted to connect it with children in developing communities and low income communities, because I know when I was little, things weren't a walk in the park. Like at home, at school, it was very difficult. So I always reference back to how I felt when I was little, like we all do. We all do that. We reflect. In terms of being healed, am I healed from it? Absolutely. Being healed from whatever trauma that we've had as children, as adults, is important to just being a balanced human, making the right decisions. So I decided I've had such good fortune when it comes to the side effect of having good work and it reaching some of the biggest names in music that I grew up listening to. So I wanted to share the joy. And I thought the best way to do that is to use candy and to make jewelry, because what's more fun than candy and jewelry? Like nothing. Nothing's more fun. No, like that just makes everyone so happy. So and then there's the cognitive aspect of approaching design and the engineering and what color gummy am I going to put next, and the cognitive relationship that design inspires also can inspire critical decision making in other areas of your life, because it's a very solo project when you're building something, when you're designing something, and the experience and the reward is very singular. So you're getting the credit for whatever it is that you made, and no matter how you assemble it, it's going to look good because it's like the best combination of, so it's like a win-win. So I was able to drive that, and I was working with the LA County Libraries and the LA Housing Development Authority, where I did it in low-income communities. And then, of course, COVID hit, and that's not happening for right now.
Yeah, the world changed.
But yeah, it was really just to help other people understand themselves better, especially children, because it's those moments of, clarity where they're like, oh, I can achieve something. I just completed a necklace. When you're in an environment, sometimes growing up at home, it's loud, it's abusive, it's mean. For whatever reasons, if you're not in a house that's like loving, this is the one escape that you could find, build your self-esteem. And it also encourages them to like, oh, I can make anything from anything. Let me go back home and see what I could cut up, or I have cereal, let me string together my cereal. Like, it's really about reminding them that of the possibilities of using their imagination to escape whatever it is that they're experiencing. So it's like deep.
Yeah. Plus, you could be totally fostering the next big thing just by simply putting this opportunity in, maybe something they would have never thought to do. Or
Yeah, and you got to do that if you're popping. Like, you gotta, like, what's better than being cool? Helping people is way cooler than being cool. Like, using your bad for good is the baddest. That's the baddest thing you could do, is use your bad for good.
I've worked with children as well in rough neighborhoods and stuff, because I came up in the Bronx and stuff. It was difficult for me because of how I look, the way I look and the way I present. I don't think those kids believe that I come from where I come from, and they don't see that I could possibly have experienced the things I did. So it was really hard for me to penetrate the defensive mechanisms. You blocking them?
He's like, lady.
That's funny. Yeah, so it was hard to kind of get those kids to listen, but I did it through music. Yeah, I did it through music. I started.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I do poetry and stuff. So I just started spitting some bars for them, and when they heard the content, then they opened up.
That's awesome.
They started.
Yeah, I'm always amazed when I go into, because I specifically work in low income communities because of the lack of opportunities in those areas. And I'm always amazed because it'll be like a 200-pound dude sitting down, like trying to making a bracelet. And I'll have gang members sit down and they're clearly banging. And I'd be like, what are you making? What are we making? And I went to Long Island City High School in the 90s, and that was super rough in Queens. It was down the block from Queensbridge Housing Project. So I don't really have a fear at all of communities like that. In fact, I feel more comfortable in them than I do in more affluent areas. I think because I heavily identify with lack of opportunity, I heavily identify with being underestimated. So I use it as because I think that if you have the map, you need to share it.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
I got the map. Yo, here's the map. Let me tell you how I did it. Or let me show you another way of interpreting what's happening to you. But not really talking to them directly about those things, but really inspiring it through creativity.
Mm-hmm. action, and simply being the living example.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And just being there and showing up.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that simply showing up is key. My problem is that they thought I was a blanquito, and I will.
I mean, same with me, I'm ethnically ambiguous. So they're like,
Yeah, that's a term, right?
what is this girl? Like, what's happening? But as soon as they talk to me, they're like, I usually have Nikes on, and my earrings and stuff. But yeah, they feel comfortable and I don't ever feel afraid of them or threatened by them ever. I feel super comfortable in that environment, which is why another reason, if I didn't, I couldn't work in them. If
Mm.
and the organizers that hire me for those events, they know that. They're like, oh, Seville's great. Seville, like, I'll even walk like into the PJs by myself to deliver if I'm giving stuff away at the end. I just feel so comfortable that I don't feel comfortable in the world itself.
Yeah, that's nice. I don't think I've quite found that yet myself. I personally, I experience a lot of discomfort. Maybe it's anxiety. I don't know. I experienced a lot of violence growing up and stuff. So I'm, you ever listen to Mike Tyson talk? You ever hear how
I
Mike
went to
Tyson
his
said,
wedding. I went to his wedding a few years ago.
"What?
His wife is a really good friend of mine, and
Oh my
I got
goodness.
invited to their wedding at the M Resort in Las Vegas. I thought I got an invitation to what I thought was a dual birthday party for him and Kiki, but it turned out that it was a surprise wedding.
Wow.
So she wears my jewelry, and I just put up a picture. He's worn my stuff too. I've made like glasses for him. But what analogy were you gonna use
Well,
about?
so if you hear Tyson, Tyson says that one of his documentaries, he says, I got tired of being humiliated in the street. So he became this really tough, hard person just to simply exist. Now, if you see him in his current existence, he's evolved from that. But I relate to that. So when I walk the streets, I still carry that. I could get jumped at any moment, or I can get shot at. All the things I experienced coming up, that trauma, I've found ways to cope. I've found ways to cope, and I'm 43. I work with a therapist when I was younger, and found ways to deal with things. But I've not reached the point that you say where you're comfortable. I was very
Yeah,
nervous when I went to talk to the kids. I was
yeah.
very nervous. I had a lot of anxiety. I was thinking that they're not going to like me. They're going to think I'm a blanquito. Who is this kid? And that's exactly what happened. Maybe I attracted it
I
to myself. You know what you
oh,
said earlier?
okay.
You know, I
Yeah, it
don't.
does work. The world does work that way. It really does. There's not much to it, but simply we are what we attract, or we attract what we are. But I think the more and more you do it, the more and more you'll feel more comfortable, and you'll take that whatever negativity about yourself that you carry. Like I had to shake a lot. It was super violent at home and it was super violent at school
How
and
did you do
everywhere
it?
I went.
Like, how did you
I
get
think that
past
when you
that?
have I think that when you have a paramount event that eclipses anything before it that you thought was bad,
Mm,
that's the great equalizer. Because if you could imagine a more traumatic event possibly happening to you, and then how that would eclipse
right.
I got jumped a bunch of times growing up. I got fighting girls, fighting boys. It was annoying. And I think traveling the world helped me a lot also, because when I was 18, I went to Europe for 6 weeks, and every summer I went for longer, and I was backpacking. And I think that also made me understand that it isn't all about New York. All right. Like, it isn't all about Queens and my polo hoodie and my beef and broccoli Timberlands, and it's not all about that. And I remember meeting like an 18-year-old kid, and I had just left my block, and I was in boom, like within a week I was like making my way. I left England, and I went into Paris, and I met like an 18-year-old kid, and he knew everything about my government. He knew who my senator was in New York. Like, he
Wow.
knew that I didn't know. And I was so embarrassed. And I was thinking about the 18-year-old kids that I hang out with in New York, and how, oh, that's okay. I'm just on a Zoom call. How you doing? Yeah. But like I was thinking like to myself, damn, we don't really know a thing in New York. Like we think we
Yeah.
know what's up, but we don't really know what's up. We don't even know anything about who anybody is. You know, it's all about hip hop. It's all about what you're wearing. It's all about the people around the way. And I think traveling really instilled in me like New York is cool, but so is Paris. New York is cool, but so is Germany. New York is cool, but so is Prague. So I think that that was pivotal for me. And then just having years later, I think it's just about collecting the knowledge that you need to overcome the traumas that you've experienced so that you can have healthier relationships, so that you're not bound to like the trauma that you've experienced. It's so important to try and be a better person for yourself, for your ancestors, for all the things that, you know, all the blood spills, it's, you got to walk around with the face that you were born in. There's no hiding,
Damn it.
you know? But I think also doing more outreach, it's harder now because of COVID, but you can do Zoom stuff. I think doing it more it's like a muscle. The more you work it out, the better and stronger it gets. So yeah.
Cool, cool. Now, what was it like going to a Tyson wedding?
It was cool. I actually spoke at the wedding too. It's cool. I've always had like peripheral action when it comes to super famous people. I don't know, it's different because I know the family very intimately. So I don't know. It's a great love. It's like one of the greatest love stories in recent history, I think. I think that's what I'll say about it. Kiki's an extremely special woman. She's the reason that Mike has his Mike Tyson name in his name. All the legal stuff that needed to happen to get his name out of.
Oh, wow. Even his name? Oh, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
his name was taken from him by that guy, Don King. And she's the reason why it's back in his name. When a lot
Wow.
of his success is because of her, and she's the most unfind. You can't really find her. She doesn't have any social media. She's the most low-key person. We actually worked together 20 years ago at a marketing agency, no, at a clothing company. And I was in the marketing department, and she was like working there too, and we hated it. And I would go to her desk and be like, yo, I hate it here. She's like, me too. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go sleep under my desk. I want to sleep under my desk.
Oh my
But
goodness.
yeah, I mean, she was dating Mike at the time, and there was a lot of things happening in the relationship. This was before they got married, and it was weird because she'd tell me stories, and I'd be like, she's talking about Mike Tyson right now. This is crazy. But yeah, yeah, she's just super special. She's ill.
So what are your plans continuing forward with your business, and like what's your plan going forward? What do you visualize?
I think just doing everything bigger and better and scaling and working more with community activations. It's a bit harder now because of COVID. So there's a lot of pivoting and adaptation that needs to happen. And yeah, I think just offering quality jewelry at an accessible price has always been something that very much interested me and interests me, and I always want to offer girls that are coming up with really well made quality jewelry that appeals to also some of the biggest names in music. I think just doing more of it and just scaling is maybe stepping in and doing collections for larger fashion houses would be good for them because I think there's a lot they're not doing. And every time I look at major fashion houses, I'm like, they're not even doing it. It would behoove them to hire me to step in because yeah, I got a couple of downloads for them.
And you plan on continuing to do everything yourself in terms of the jewelry, or when you scale, does that kind of change
Yeah,
things?
I'd have to. Yeah, I'd have to figure that out. But
Right, right.
it's not. I figured everything out on my own, so I'll figure that out too.
Self-made, right?
Yeah, from the boots to the hoops.
Boost to the hoops.
Mhm.
Oh, I wish you continued success.
Thank
Hope
you so
everything
much.
keeps going. It's really cool to have something that you create be visible to so many people. I don't know what that feels like, but I can imagine it's a really amazing feeling. So
It is. It's rewarding. It's cool because it just makes you feel like whatever it is you're doing is resonating with people, and
it's also nice with the well, I don't want to use the term regular people, but us, the regular citizenry, right? To get that note from someone saying, "Hey,
Mhm.
I'm gonna buy your jewelry when I get some money up."
Yeah, that's just as
That's
dope.
frosting,
That's just
right?
yeah, that's just as dope because that's like probably a girl I would have hung out with when we were younger. So that probably would have been a muse for me back then. So yeah, it's very kind. It was very kind of her to say
Yeah.
that to me. Yeah.
Plus your act of kindness and giving it to her, it's all it's this give and take, this synergistic give and
Yeah.
take, and makes the world a better place.
Yeah, it does. You gotta, I always say that and I'll say it again, but you gotta be what's right with the world. You really have to, never mind what other people are doing, just know that whatever it is you're doing is important to shaping the world, even in the shadows, even in silence. It's more important what you do when no one can see you.
Yeah,
So,
that's the
yeah.
definition of integrity, doing the right thing even when no one is looking.
Mhm.
You
That's
know,
right.
don't
Right.
always hit that, but we try.
Yeah.
I
Nah,
try.
and you know what? I'm not like a saint. I curse people out sometimes. Like I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'll never front. I don't,
You're from New York,
I'm
Queens.
from
You're
New
from New
York.
York.
Like I'll curse
Keep it
somebody out, but
real.
then I'll be like, but bless you.
Yeah. But do
But
not let
bless
this
you.
anger.
Yeah.
Do
Like,
not
but
let
I'll
my
be like,
moment
I'll
of
curse them out.
anger
Yeah.
destroy your day. This was
Yeah.
but a momentary.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll curse them out and then be like, but bless you. Cause like,
Uh,
whatever. Hi.
that's funny.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so
This is so, thank you.
we have to label the podcast Seville Michelle with friends and friends.
Yes, and friends, co-starring. All my co-stars are like,
iPhone fix it guy.
oh my God. Yeah, I should get a picture of his face so we could run him at the end. Oh my
That's
God.
funny.
Thank you
I
so much.
I think I want to keep that. I want to keep that little snippet.
Of him like yelling at me.
Maybe I'll throw it at the end. Or maybe I'll open with that. Like, hey, move, man, get
It's
up, get out of
very,
here.
oh no, this is very accurate for me, believe me. I remember one time I had to get like earrings to like someone super famous and they were going to be wearing them on like a major like award show. And because I do everything myself, so I had to make everything. And then I had to get to FedEx before 6 o'clock and it was raining and I rode my bike and I was like covered.
Huh.
It's very like apropos.
You
I
are
don't know how to say that.
grinding. That is like legit. Like,
Dude, I was like in the rain and sweating. And so this is like super,
comfortable chilling.
yeah, like this is like
It's appropriate. It's
accurate.
appropriate.
Like I get back to LA, I don't have electricity, I don't have Wi-Fi. I'm like, oh yeah, this is accurate.
Did they do one of those like fire protection things? Is that what
I
they?
don't know. I really don't know, but it's my electricity's back on, but my Wi-Fi is turned on tomorrow. So
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's that dual living. They're like, oh, you're in
Yeah,
Queens. I
that's
got something
that.
for you. You're going to the East Coast?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
click.
Yeah, everything's like a little bit, it's like Casio's, it's like having diamonds on a Casio. That's basically who I am. Yeah.
I used to
I
have a
know who I
Casio.
am. No, I know who I am. Like, I know who I am. I'm a Casio with diamonds. I
There
know
you
who I
go.
am.
I never thought of that before. Yeah, like that's a that's a that's an. I'm going to see if I can find a picture of that online and use it. Use it for the cover.
I think there was a Spanish publication, and they use that as like the headline. Because I've been saying that for years.
Casio with. I saw a picture of you. Oh, I guess when you were younger, and it was on a sofa with plastic.
Mm-hmm.
What is up with that? Why did we do that? Like
we did that because our mommies wanted to preserve everything around us, and we were grimy little dirty little kids, and we'd come in with Queens on our body or the Bronx on our body, and they weren't having it. Like,
nobody goes in the living room. They would make it beautiful.
Don't go in the sala.
Yep. Make it beautiful. You leave the plastic. It was very, you would stick to it. And I thought we were the only ones, but my Italian friend said, nah, we do it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know if they do it in Cuba, or I don't know if they do it in Italy, or is it the coming here? I'm first generation, so is it because my mother was an immigrant, she came here.
Want to protect.
I don't know if that was as popular in the places that they came from, or was that something that they adapted here? Somebody had to been offering that in stores in order for you to even get that. So who was the guy that was like, we
wrapped it up in plastic?
Like we could have a whole there's a whole market, that we could sell. We'll sell them the couch, but then they'll also sell them the plastic. You know what I'm saying? Like they were offering it. And so,
that is
like, my mother would have wrapped me in plastic if she could have, to keep me safe and preserved.
Oh, that is funny. It's trippy because it makes it almost unusable when you're sitting on plastic, because you're like sticking to it, you're sweating on it.
Yeah, it's like the worst. I had a tea in Brooklyn. I went back as an adult. She had the same couch with the same plastic, and it was still there. And it was like, she had the
what it is. That's the longevity right there.
Yeah, that you could have it literally. You could have it forever, literally. Like, and just change the plastic. Like, it's amazing. So so the earrings, wrapping them in plastic, came from
the sofa.
From the couch.
That's funny. My mom eased up a little bit. She eased up a bit, but she put sábanas on it now, so it's not as uncomfortable. But it's still, now you got sábanas.
It's still like a little like.
Yeah, you go in the living room, she still gives you that look.
Yeah, like if you do anything to my couch. Yeah.
¿Qué tú haces, Ángel? Me voy a sentar. Y esa bebida en tu mano. You're gonna finish that first before you sit down?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Mom. Fine. Okay. I want to thank you for coming on. I don't want to hold you too long. Technically, this is the evening.
Between that and your shirt, like half off, like, you want to push it.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on. I enjoyed talking with you. And I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much.
Siga para adelante.
Thank you. And thanks for taking the time and talking to me. I love what you do, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you know what I feel like doing? Going messing with the iPhone Fix-It guy. Go in front and but I can't. God. It would have to be you who takes that L though. You'd have to go in there and.
No, I don't want to take any more L's. He already told me that he's not feeling me. But thank you so much. Have a good day and happy holidays.
You too. Stay well.
All right, honey. Thank you so much.
All right, cuídate. Josephine, thank you. Cuídate también.
Thank you. Bye, babe.
All right, take care.
Bye.
You are listening to the NYC Talking Podcast. www.nyctalking.com. Please like NYC Talking on Facebook. Please follow Angel R Talk on Twitter and Instagram. We are NYC Talking, the realest lifestyle blog ever. Thanks for listening.